When you join ASUG, you'll never face an SAP challenge alone again. We connect our members to exclusive educational opportunities and a community of like-minded peers, so you can get the most value from your SAP investment. Get smart fast and learn from the best. Stay on the leading edge of SAP practices and get access to the latest research, insights, and unbiased editorial and interviews from industry experts and your peers. Expand your network. ASUG makes up the biggest, most diverse, and most engaged SAP user group in the world. Any question or challenge you have, there's someone who's seen it before. Connect with a network of 130,000 plus SAP savvy professionals to solve complex business challenges, work smarter, and expand your SAP skills. Get set to lead. Improve your SAP expertise by collaborating with peers to solve business challenges and find innovative solutions. With 38 regional chapters, you and your teams can connect and meet with other SAP professionals and take advantage of dozens of speaking and leadership opportunities throughout the year where you can share your ideas. Become a leader in the ASUG community by leading a local chapter, joining our executive exchange, and participating in one of our 13 and growing ASUG Alliance groups, or make connections and learn at ASUG events. Keep learning, connecting, and growing with ASUG.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to GenAI Ready, historical data to drive innovation, accelerated and cost-efficient archiving, and decommissioning during your S/4HANA transformation. I'm Heather Lima, and I'm a content producer here at ASUG. Today's webcast will be recorded, and you will receive a post-event email with the link to the on-demand recording of this webcast tomorrow. Please feel free to pass it on to your colleagues if you found this webcast useful, and please take a moment to fill out our 2-question survey. If you have any questions, please enter them in the Q&A box. If we find that we have too many questions and we're not able to get to all of them today, we will answer them offline. Now, I'll hand off our webcast to our speakers, Kristen Gerling and Johan Hager with TJC Group. Kristen, take it away.
Thank you, Heather, for the introduction, and a warm welcome from my side for all our attendees on this webinar. I will start out with taking you through our agenda so that you get an overview of what topics we will dive into. First, I will introduce TJC Group to you, give you an overview of our products and services, very quick and brief. And then we'll dive into our Histivate SAP Data Lifecycle Management topic, which is our vision on how to tackle data lifecycle management topics in regards to S/4HANA and beyond, the innovative processes that come once you're on S4. I will talk a little bit there about legacy decommissioning in general and what the benefit, what it means for companies to start and think about that before even embarking the journey to S/4HANA. We will also look at and compare a couple different options, and then really go into the different stages of the S/4HANA roadmap and highlight where legacy decommissioning can actually open up discussions more on different approaches, and also prepare you for the day once you're live and once you want to actually decommission and get that done quickly and recoup the cost savings on decommissioning in general. I will then hand it over to my colleague Jochen Hager, and he will dive into the product itself, its architecture, its benefits, and he will also share with you a demo that our colleague Audrey Boutary recorded for us that gives you a look and feel experience on our decommissioning platform, TJC ELSA. And He will wrap it up with a summary and a customer success story, and then we're ready for your questions. So let's talk first about TJC Group. We are a global company in the SAP ecospace, and our team consists of engineers who are experts in cutting-edge technologies, and we have a consulting team where there's a good number of consultants that have 25 years plus experience in consulting around SAP in many different areas. We have a focus on data volume management, which is an integral part in your S/4HANA journey, because the system size reduction is a key component on getting ready for S/4HANA and once you're on S4. And we have over 500 customers that use our automation products like archive session product, Dart extraction, or the audit extraction cockpit. We're also experts when it comes to tax compliance within SAP. We have products around different country solutions for SAFT, and we are a reseller and implementer of SAP DRC. All our products are SAP certified, and the product that is the focus of today's webinar is our TJC Enterprise Legacy System Application, short ELSA. And with that, we'll go to the next slide and start talking about our vision on SAP Data Lifecycle Management, combining history and innovation. We put those two words into ChatGPT, and Histivate was what resonated with ChatGPT the most about this. And like I said, it is supposed to be building a connection between your historic data, your legacy data, and your innovative platforms that you're going to be using to build GenAI algorithms and improve your business processes and predictive analytics capabilities in the future. So let's take a look at, in general, why is enterprise legacy decommissioning a topic that is of relevance in organizations in general? Well, you have to reduce cost. I mean, that is a constant mantra in our enterprise world, and it makes sense, specifically with the S4 transformation, to start looking at your legacy platform and what you want to do with it once you're on S4 at an early start. One thing is to address operation costs and infrastructure costs and integration costs, and et cetera. The other thing too is how do you want to use that legacy data going forward, and if it makes sense already starting that journey a little earlier. And we'll get into that a little later in one of the slides. You will also want to always reduce risk. We are living in an era of cyber attacks, and your data, being the S4 data that you're taking across, or your historic data, needs to be secured. You want to ensure that your users can access historic data to provide business continuity, and you want to always be able to fulfill regulatory compliance whenever it is requested, either by tax auditors, by internal auditors, et cetera. And also, legacy system decommissioning can help with making it easier to divest a company or provide the data for a divested company in a format that they can access it without having to do a complex system landscape transformation project. This is especially needed when the divested organization is not going to be continuing on SAP. So that's another capability of legacy decommissioning where you can use it. As always, with freeing up costs, and you also optimize your budget, so you free up costs in other areas to actually use those dollars to for transformation projects and innovation. And especially for our S4 customers that are considering SAP Rise or SAP Grow, the T-shirt size becomes that you contract into becomes a major goal to stay within that and to control the size of your system from the start, so that you're not growing out from a small installation to a large installation quickly. Now let's look at this from a more S4 goals perspective. So when you're going when you're moving to S4HANA, you have a couple main goals. Most of you on ECC operated on-prem with hardware and infrastructure on-premise, but S4 opens the opportunity to be a SaaS model or a cloud model. And you're looking or your users are looking for new user experience on S4 as far as transacting and reporting with the data and working with the data. Fiori comes to mind here, and operational efficiencies are one of the things that S4 is going to bring with it. You're optimizing your business processes, you're investing in more security of your data, and cutting IT project cost in the future through a simplified landscape and services around that. Also, there is data cleanup activities involved with an S4 journey, and you want to get to complete and clean historical data sets, but also have business processes in place to keep your new S4 system clean and manageable as far as master data concepts are concerned. S4 sets you on a road for future growth and innovation, and you want to be able to faster adopt new technology or new business processes and benefit from that much faster, and unlocking IT productivity. So that all also applies to enterprise legacy or system legacy decommissioning. And but it goes a little bit further, because when you put a generative AI into the mix, then you're not necessarily just looking at the last 2 years of transactions that you brought across into your S4 system, but you're looking at your history, valuable information that you have gathered over the past 10 years. And that is really needed in artificial intelligence to build robust and solid use cases around analysis, evaluation, management, and automation of an organization. And therefore, having a good legacy system decommissioning platform that allows you to access the data freely and in one location is a prerequisite for being ready for GenAI. I would like to now share with you this comparison of different ways to deal with your legacy system once you went live on S4. And we put together a few criteria items here on the left side of the screen, like data completeness, ability to manage data privacy obligations, and TCO, system security, and or operational risk and thing. And we kind of mark those the way these options perform against this criteria. I will start with keep your legacy system up and running. That is not a secure method over the life cycle of the data. Keep in mind you have financial data that you have to either keep for 7 or 10 years minimum. HR data could be even 30 years plus. So keeping your legacy system the way it is and up and running is opening you up to data breaches and cyber attacks just because you can't upgrade the operating system or the database. And therefore, we would not recommend it. Also, you can't really install or implement data privacy regulations with it anymore. It's not a good approach to handle a legacy system once you're live on S4. Deleting your entire system is a total no-go. You are, from regulatory compliance perspective, you are required to keep that data that you didn't take across. You have to be able to report on it when a tax audit is happening. Your business user community needs that data, so it's not a good approach either. SAP ILM Retention Warehouse is a common solution that we see with some of our customers. However, and it fulfills most of the criteria, but however, from a data completeness perspective, Retention Warehouse uses data archiving objects that have been tweaked where the consistency checks have been taken out so that you can gather and extract more data, but it is not really a table by table approach, making sure that you are taking full tables of the content of the tables in your system across to the decommissioning platform. Therefore, you can miss, for example, with SAP Office tables, you can miss data. Your data archiving objects you can have situations where even with the consistency checks taken out, the program still doesn't get to 100% of the table contents. It is not a full compliant really data collection. And the next thing is the user experience when with ILM Retention Warehouse Management. When you're creating these data extracts, they're stored in audit packages. So a user basically, when they want to retrieve the data, have to request certain audit packages being loaded into BW. Then they have to be able to do the querying of that data. There are some standard reports, but they're not nearly enough. It is very cumbersome, and if you're not a technically experienced BW user, it is difficult in order to get to the data. Frozen virtual machines have similar issues to keeping your legacy up and running. Big downside is once you freeze your your ECC system, your database and your operating system no longer can be upgraded. That means no security patches on them. And with that, you're opening yourself up to, when this frozen VM is fired up and is online, you're opening yourself up to security risks. on a frozen system, you cannot introduce data privacy requirements, and the data is also not really easily mineable for AI. We recommend a full decommissioning approach where you're getting all the data out of all the tables that you need and require, and where your users have fast and easy access to this data, and it doesn't take a long learning curve to get to it. And we recommend that a decommissioned system is on a platform where you can introduce data privacy regulation requirements, and that you can create large extracts for tax audits. Security risk with our TGC ELSA platform is minimal. It is a solution running on the SAP Business Technology platform, so is protected there, and it fulfills all the criteria that is relevant for a decommissioned landscape perfectly. Now we'll take a look more at the actual SAP to S4 roadmap, and I want to highlight that you want to really start looking at decommissioning your ECC system or any other system that you're taking to S4 at an early stage. And that is because when you're doing your sizing exercises with SAP, the recommendation a lot of times is reduce your system size. Reducing your system size means a long, lengthy, and costly data archiving project, or if you're actually considering doing decommissioning with ELSA, it could be also that we can have 3 buckets. We can say there's a bucket of data that needs to be archived. There is a bucket of data that we can decommission and therefore save time on that data archiving project to finish, so that we can start with the S4 transition earlier. Also, being already considering that some of the data goes into a decommissioning platform makes you a lot more flexible as far as considering the different alternatives of greenfield, brownfield, and selective system transformation to S4. During the course of your S4 project, if you do already consider and think about what the future of your legacy system is, obviously it makes sense to do a POC or do a or like you do your mocks in S4, take a QA system and decommission it from a just building the ELSA workspace out, so that you can actually access the data and see what it will look like once that QA system is decommissioned and you're running the data access through ELSA. That can be part of the journey in going to S4, so that you're ready on the day X after you've went live with S4 to quickly do the production extracts and start accessing the data in ELSA and shutting down the legacy infrastructure quickly. There are 3 other use cases that are small in comparison that I want to highlight in the next slide, and one is the access to archive data out of ECC after you have done a transformation process when you're in S4. So in this example, you see an archive document that was archived in ECC, but when you're trying to bring it up and look at it from S4, you're getting error messages or incomplete screens. That is due to your transformation process introduced a new chart of accounts, and the account 21,000 no longer exists in this example. So this is one example why it makes sense to actually import your archive data into a platform like our TJC ELSA, because from here you can actually view the data as it was stored in the ECC system, and you still have descriptions for the account, and a record is displayed without error messages. The next issue we have with archiving and S4 is the Fiori transactions. The older Fiori transactions are based on the ABAP GUI transactions, and they can access archive data. Now they're rolled out and are slowly but surely disappearing out of S4, and because SAP introduced HANA Live CDS View, OData protocol, and INA protocol Fiori transactions, and that those do no longer read from the archive. And the third is that new data models have been introduced in S4, and one of them is the AC Docker table, which now includes a lot of other tables, information from other tables that we, as we were familiar with in ECC. So you have, if you look at SARA and the archiving graph for financial documents, FI_document, then now there is a prerequisite that you have to archive a CO object before the introduction of this table with all these different documents in it now, like purchasing documents, purchasing recs, asset management transactions. It is a table that grows very, very quickly, and you have to aggressively archive that table. But with the limitations in the Fiori transactions going forward of viewing the archive data, this becomes an issue. So these little examples that I gave you right now are more reasons to actually, in parallel, already explore what the data will look like on a TJC ELSA platform once you've decommissioned, and that you can use that platform going forward after you're live on S4 and inject even more data from your S4 system in order to keep your user access guaranteed. I would also like to share with you that from our ELSA application, it is possible to look at decommissioned ECC6 data and S4 data on one screen. This will be demonstrated in the video. You will see this there. And that is the end of my part, and I will hand it over to my colleague Jochen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you for this nice introduction. I will take us a little deeper into the product ELSA and their benefits. The ELSA application is an SAP native application built and certified on SAP BTP. As we saw before, it combines legacy data. It can access documents that are stored in content repositories and static reports, and everything is constantly, permanently accessible through the user interface of ELSA. You can build custom Fiori applications to access the legacy data directly from S/4HANA or through the combination screen Kristen just highlighted. The visualization system allows to show decommissioned SAP and non-SAP data, everything in one legacy system directory. to allow you to do dynamic queries, custom table queries, transaction-like queries, document flows. Everything you have been used to do in your ECC system can be done with ELSA as well. Of course, the ABAP code doesn't come across, but we have built lookalike transactions that allow you to get the same look and feel so that you feel right at home when querying your data. There is an embedded audit trail as proof of compliance for all the data transitioning steps, and there is built-in easy deletion for privacy requirements like CCPA, LOI 25, or GDPR. And of course, we have a full authorization management and data masking features to allow privacy and continue to have system restrictions that users were used to or that administrators could implement through the SAP system. So I saw we have had a question here, how do we get the data out of the system? We have custom transactions that allow us to extract the data table by table. All the tables, all 80,000 plus tables are being extracted. There is a version of it that allows to be run in the ECC system. There is also now a version that allows from the outside to extract the data from an ECC6 system. And once the data is extracted, it is uploaded into a blob storage where all the data, all the tables reside. And from that blob storage cloud storage area, the relevant table that are important for the use cases the users want to implement are then selectively important. So we work with our users to define which kind of use cases are important, FI use cases, SD use cases, HR use cases, and put a specific emphasis on that. There's no point in recreating a huge multiple terabyte database for a legacy application. Decommissioning system, it's important to understand which tables are relevant, which tables hold the most significant data, and then to build the use cases around it. Users, as I said before, can access ELSA functionality through an authorization user management functionality. Here is an architecture slide that shows the layering of the architecture. We have the data layer at the bottom with the data infrastructure, platform infrastructure, and then transitioning into the SAP BTP platform. The data layer can be any cloud service provider, AWS, Azure. In that data layer, we have the blob storage where all the raw table data goes from SAP. But we also have a database, and there's choices of database. Could be MySQL as a database. It could be a Oracle database, and anything your cloud service provider, your hyperscaler provides you, it can be looked at. We have some that we have certified. If you have specific requirements, talk to us and we can take a look at it. The database doesn't have to be high performance. It needs to have a decent performance, especially if we have very large table, but it doesn't have to have a super high performance because the number of queries against it are relatively fewer. Platform can be Unix or Linux. And then the SAP BTP application, the actual ELSA application uses connectivity to that database or to that blob storage. And here is the interesting part. All these bottom four layers where you see the green and the blue, they can be either in the cloud or can even be on-prem. So we have a client implementation where we have client implementations where a customer chose to keep the data on premise, the raw data as well as the database. Still, the application runs on the SAP Business Technology Platform, or everything can be in private data endpoints in a database with a private data endpoint or in a blob storage with a private data endpoint. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of customizing capabilities, tailoring this application to the customer needs. A little bit more concrete here, a customer example that came out of one of our projects. Here at the top, you have the SAP ECC 6 system. From there, through, in this case, ABAP reports, the data was extracted first into the local file storage of the database server. From there was a secure upload program that is supplied by TJC. That upload program loads all the table data into the blob storage. And from there is a selective data upload into ELSA, the MySQL database that serves ELSA, to be more exact. And here, of course, data can be loaded even at a later point in time. All the data is there in the blob storage. It's a huge flexibility. Data can be unloaded, can be loaded again to support certain business scenarios, and even after the fact, if you have a requirement that you need a certain piece of data that wasn't initially available, that can be made available again. From a content server perspective, SAP Content Server or other content server, OpenText Content Server, and all the 80 other flavors of that are in the market by different vendors can be integrated. Documents can stay there and can be directly pulled up, or documents can be moved out and put in the flat file system. So the choice is there again for the customer of what to do with the images and the image data. The end users have here on the left side different data views. There is the raw data that is then grouped in transactions in dynamic queries. There is reports, static reports. We recommend strongly to build static reports so that the data because the logic of that data reports is lost because the ABAP code is gone. So you need to freeze essentially certain data elements that you want to recreate as is. Then documents can be displayed as well. With that, we go into the demo. Now, this is a lengthy demo. Stick with us. It is full of good information. It's about 6-7 minutes long. But it is worthwhile watching. There is new information throughout the demo. And after the demo, I will go into a wrap-up and we answer your questions. So let's start the demo.
Hi. In this recording, I will give you a brief overview of TJC's historical data management application called ELSA. So ELSA runs on SAP BTP. Okay, so this is a cloud application which you can reach with a unique URL. Now, I will start off with a quick data display, and then I'll also show you where the data is actually coming from. Let's start with sales documents. So right now I have selected a former ECC 6 system, okay, from which we're going to display the data. And I'm just going to click on the sales document tile right there, enter a sales document number, and open it. Okay, so here we are. Let's have a look at this display. This is your most common display for ELSA. Okay, so in this transaction, we have the header at the very top, and you can scroll down and navigate through the different tabs. And if you want to look deeper at some items that are displayed here, you can always click on the detailed view here. Now, let me go back at the very top at the header. One of the features that you still have Hi. In this recording, I will give you a brief overview of TJC's historical data management application called ELSA. So ELSA runs on SAP BTP. Okay, so this is a cloud application which you can reach with a unique URL. Now, I will start off with a quick data display, and then I'll also show you where the data is actually coming from. let's start with sales documents. So right now I have selected a former ECC6 system, okay, from which we're going to display the data. And I'm just going to click on the sales document tile right there, enter a sales document number, and open it. Okay, so here we are. Let's have a look at this display. This is your most common display for ELSA. Okay, so in this transaction, we have the header at the very top, and you can scroll down and navigate through the different tabs. And if you want to look deeper at some items that are displayed here, you can always click on the detailed view here. Now, let me go back at the very top at the header. One of the features that you still have available in ELSA is the document flow. So here we are looking at a sales document, okay, but from this sales document, I'm going to be able to reach the related billing document, for instance. And this is of interest to us because this is going to allow me to show you the attached invoice, for instance. Okay, so let's give it a few seconds to load. But as you can see already, this is the very same generic display. Okay, here we are. So before I show you the attachment itself, a couple things to note. First of all, the application still retains the F1 help coming from the ECC system, okay? But in addition of that, you also have a tooltip feature built in, which is going to link the value of one field to the actual text. Now, you also have connections between a field and other objects. For instance, we are looking at a payer number right there, and those small chain links here, which are called the cross-link feature in ELSA, allow me to reach the associated master data. Okay, so if I click on it, once again, it opens a new window, and you know the drill, we're going to get that same generic display. Back to my billing document. Again, I have my sales document flow available as well. If I want to go back to the sales document, for instance, I also have the financial accounting document related to this billing document, which can be reached from here as well. Finally, talking about attachments, two options. Either all attachments were extracted and uploaded in ELSA, in which case they're available directly from this paperclip, or you decided to keep them in your current or in a new content repository, in which case you can connect that content repository to ELSA and access the attachments directly from here. Now, I showed you how to access data from ELSA, but we also provide an API which allows you to connect any application to the ELSA data. Okay. For instance, here we've built a custom application in S4 to allow us to access those billing documents, both from S4 and from ELSA. So what you're looking at right now is S4 data. Okay, we are in an S4 system and we're looking at S4 data. I can select another source, ELSA in this case, select the same workspace we were looking at, so the same legacy application, in this case an ECC6, and click on Go. And this data at the bottom is coming up directly from ELSA, okay, from the ELSA database. Obviously, should you want to filter, you can search for specific billing documents, but this is just to give you a glimpse of the possibilities of connection through the ELSA API. Now, at the beginning, I said I would also explain where the data is coming from. I would say there are mostly two different contexts where you're going to put data in ELSA. The most common one is likely going to be decommissioning. So you want to retire your legacy application, okay, and you're going to extract most of the time 100% of the data, unless you want to filter some tables, but the easiest way is to take 100% of the data. And you are going to upload this data and import it in ELSA. Okay, so this happens from here. But two ways to go about it. If it's an SAP application, you can install some add-ons to perform those extractions, or directly from ELSA, you can also extract attachments and tables as well. Now, the second scenario where you're going to want to use ELSA is to view your archive data. It can be from an S4 system or from an ECC system, right? But one thing you can do is from ELSA, synchronize the data coming from your archived files and from your online database as well, if you need to complement this data. And you will be able to see this data from ELSA or from a custom application in S4 as well. Okay, this is especially useful if you haven't enabled the SF transactions or if you want to see archive data from S4. Now, this should cover as well, in a brief overview, how data is displayed in ELSA and where it comes from, but just know that you have a lot more options for display, so you can have built-in reports that have been created before or during the project. You also have the possibility to look at tables individually, to create some queries, and ELSA being an application, you have authorization management available as well. That will be it for this presentation. Thank you.
So that was a great overview by our esteemed colleague, Audran Boutery, who gave us a nice full overview on ELSA and its capabilities. Let me summarize a little bit what the challenges were we were looking at. We were going for legacy data completeness, all the data from your legacy system, not just parts of it, everything should be there. We should be able to access the data as we need it. We want to be AI ready. We want to have the data in its complexity, in its entirety available from different data sources, be that data archive files, be that online data, be that third-party applications. All relevant data can be loaded into one data source, and that data source can be effectively and efficiently accessed by AI tools. In fact, we've worked in a concept phase with a customer from Canada to review how we can best achieve that. T-shirt size control, system size control is another challenge we were facing that is solvable here with this tool set. And we think that to all these three challenges, the enterprise legacy system application ELSA as a certified decommissioning system on the business technology platform is an ideal tool to manage database growth effectively. With that, ensuring compliance, cost efficiency, and data accessibility, enable an AI-driven innovation, and significantly reduce cost and enhance performance and streamline your data migrations. Let me jump into a customer example. And this particular customer we worked with came from an SAP ECC environment with an Oracle database. And after being off that ECC system for 2 or 3 years, they were faced with either shutting down their ECC system or paying $250,000 annual maintenance to keep the system alive and up and running. And that cost of $250,000 was way too expensive for the occasional use cases. Now, the data had to be kept because there was a lot of HR data included that had to be kept for 30 years. But with that price ticket, it became an imperative to shut down the ECC system completely. And that was the mission we embarked on. And we did a phased implementation with a focus on divested companies. Most of the core company data went into S4, but they had divested a good number of companies over the last 10 years. And specifically, that data was part of the legacy system that was supposed to be decommissioned. As I said, there were HR, FI, and SD use cases, and they wanted us to continue, wanted us to integrate their on-premise content server for continued access to images. everything should be cloud-based. The ELSA database was cloud-based in an Azure database, and blob storage was used. Azure blob storage was used to store the tables. So that was a successful project that saved, brought down the cost to a fifth of what it was before. So mission accomplished, and a happy customer. So I want to wrap it up at this point. We're already a little bit past our allotted time with some key points. Access to legacy data is crucial for all generative AI applications. Legacy system decommissioning can be a game changer in the migration to S/4HANA, saving you, avoiding a huge data archiving project, which can be very costly. It's way cheaper, more effective to just keep the data and put it somewhere else instead of archiving it. Many companies are struggling with the management of their legacy environments after the S/4HANA migration. Some companies I talked with told me they became mission critical applications because they did have to run updates into it. They didn't have the landscape anymore. It became a critical system that was they were not capable to support anymore. And we saw some customer examples, what benefits we can achieve. So overall, we believe that ELSA can be your backbone application for legacy system decommissioning. Check these links out after the presentation. There's good information there. And with that, I hand it back to Heather for the questions and answers section. Thank you.
Thanks, Johan. And thank you so much for such a great webcast. So we did get a few questions in here. And the first one is, what improvements are pending for development? Like tickets opened in ELSA as part of your 500 plus deployments?
There will be, I'm sorry, we are working on enhancing document access, so unstructured document access as well, with variety of search capabilities for these documents and stuff like that. But I'm not, both I think Jochen and I are not technical deep down in the development department and control the roadmap here. So we'll take that question and check with our colleagues and get back to whoever asked it. But thank you for the question.
Oh, thank you. Can you display data for any archived object from ELSA?
Yes, you can. We can load data archiving files and the data in those data archiving files into ELSA and make that available for viewing. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Oh, and we have a request to reshare slide 18. Let me go ahead and
reshare slide 18. I can do that. We can, if you go to another question I've flipped through.
Great, thank you. And then can you search for something?
Hi. In this recording,
oops.
I will give you a brief.
Let's get that stopped.
Okay.
Can
that
you
was
search for
unintentional?
Yes.
18 would be this, so I'm assuming it's 17.
Yeah,
okay.
The person asked for the key points to take away, so it probably was actually one of your last ones.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. And yes, we will be sharing the slides after the recording. If you go back to the page where you registered on asug.com, or you can just search for the title of this webcast or GenAI, you can search for that. The page that you registered on, we will share the PDF version of these slides. Okay, so can you search for a sales document with something other than a sales order number?
Yes, you can. You have different criteria, similar to how you would search for a specific sales order in ECC 6 or S4, and you don't have to have the order number already at your fingertips in order to
Great.
search.
Maybe I saw an interesting question here from Vijay. What is the typical timeline for the strategy, from the strategy evaluation to realization? So we think we can do this in about 6 to 9 months. The extraction, depending, of course, on size, we go through a phased approach. If that, we would do a prototype extraction on a QA system and then a full extraction on a production system. But if no other specific requirements are there, that's about the project duration we expect.
Wonderful. Can you use ELSA with SAP DataSphere or the data storage environment?
We have not done any projects with our customers with DataSphere. We can update you when we get one that requires that. But currently, our customers use as a storage, blob stored, and we'll explore DataSphere in the future.
Let me take the next one. Do you have data verification options to match the source and the data in ELSA? Yes, at every step there is verification processes going through. So the data is verified in every transition step. There's full compliance protocol, counting all the records and making sure not a single record is lost in the transition.
Great. Can you explain why you advocate against freezing your legacy system on a VM?
Let me answer that. It's actually there's a couple of very interesting aspects here. Some people think that freezing a legacy system on a VM is easy because you only temporarily access it. There's no need to update it or anything. You only need it for maybe 5-7 years, and then you will completely shut down the system. In most cases, that turns out not to be true, because there's always that one person that says, you need the data, I need this data, I can't get rid of it. Or we had a large sports manufacturer who asked us to get back to data from the 5 last Olympics. And how do you do that if you only have 5 years of data? You can't. So your data is your most valuable asset, and you don't want to throw it away. You don't want to delete it after 5 years. Especially, you need to think about ways to keep the data. Now, if you freeze it, you will freeze your operating system, your database, your SAP release. You can't upgrade Windows or Unix where your SAP runs on, because your SAP is not upgraded anymore. It will not run on newer versions. The database will not run on newer versions. So freezing is a stopgap. It is something that works for a couple of years. And most companies continue to access it way more often than they think. Instead of once a month, they access it constantly. We had one customer who had to run updates into it, but did not have any quality control systems into it anymore. So they ran hot updates into their one system that had all their data. It's crazy. It became a mission-critical system for that customer. And that's not what you want to have happen to your valuable data. And there was one more point I wanted to make, and I forgot about it. It will come back. So ask me again if you want to. I would say freezing is really a stopgap. It's not something that can serve you in the long run as a successful strategy.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to take one last question here, just because we're almost out of time. But in regards to deleting data, how do you deal with the need to delete data older than 7 years for policy reasons?
Maybe, Kristen, you want to answer that?
Yes, thank you. We believe in not deleting the data, but making it very anonymous so that you don't have to delete it. You can't really refer back to any specific customer or anything, but you can still use it for specifically with a thought about GenAI. If, for example, if you want to do an analysis on a specific region, you still know that you had a customer in that region. So we're not really deleting it. We keep fragments of the data so that stays with us for analysis.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. That is all we have time for today. If we didn't get to your question while the webcast was going on, we will respond offline. And like I said, the slides will be available later today at the place where you registered for this webcast. Just go to aseg.com, search GenAI, and you'll find this webcast. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
you, Heather. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right.